Hi, welcome back. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. We're looking at cell division in topic 1 of cell biology. Today we will focus on stem cells with some tips as always, thinking words and exam questions. In GCSE biology, you should be able to describe the functions of stem cells in embryo, in adult animal cells, and in the meristems in plants. Stem cells that are found in the embryo are involved in lots of medical researches. These type of cells can change into any type of cell. The adults also have stem cells, but these are only found in the bone marrow. Unlike the embryonic stem cells, the adult animal cells can't turn into any type of cells. They can turn into only certain cells, such as blood cells. Stem cells from both embryo and the adult animal can form clones, which means they are genetically identical cells and are made to differentiate into specialized cells, which are used to cure diseases. Medicine uses adult stem cells to be transferred from the bone marrow of a healthy person to replace faulty blood cells in a patient who receives them. Embryonic stem cells can be used in people who suffer from diabetes by producing insulin-producing cells, or can be used to produce nerve cells for people who've been paralysed with spinal injuries. Stem cells can be used for a special type of cloning called therapeutical cloning. In this type of cloning, the embryo has the same genes as the patient. This means that the stem cells produced also will have the same genes. This is crucial. They wouldn't be rejected by the patient's body if it was used to replace faulty cells. However, there are still risks for using stem cells in medicine. Stem cells can be grown in labs, so they might get contaminated, and that would transfer the virus and create a viral infection. They do also pose ethical and religious objections. People feel, especially the embryonic cells, shouldn't be used for experiments since each one is a potential human life. In plants, the stem cells are found in the meristem. These can differentiate into any type of cell. They can differentiate throughout the entire life of the plant. The stem cells can be used as clones, and they clone quickly and economically. They can be used to grow more plants and rare species, and this prevents extinction. Or they can be used to grow disease-resistant crops, which will be beneficial for farmers. This brings us to the last section, exam questions. We have a different sort of question. Let's see how to tackle it. In this type of question, we have to find comparisons, and it's a question that usually confuses most students. So let's have a look at the information on each side of the table. In the table, we have information about costs, we have information about ethical issues, we have information about the development of the cells, we have information about the division of cells, information about the immune system and its response, and information about the safety and the research involved. This question is worth 3 marks. The question starts with providing some information. It says stem cells can be collected from human embryos and from adult bone marrow. Stem cells can develop into different types of cells. The table gives information about using these two types of stem cells to treat the patients. So the two types of stem cells is our human embryo and our adult bone marrow. Scientists are planning a new way of treating a disease using stem cells. Use only the information above to answer these questions. And the questions are: give 3 advantages of using stem cells from embryo instead of from adult bone marrow. So our comparisons are between the human embryo and the adult bone marrow. We have already established the key comparison points listed on the side. Looking at this information further, we can identify these points as positives or negatives. So here, for the human embryo, it costs 5,000 only for a few eggs, but 1,000 for many eggs. So this one is much cheaper, so it's a positive point. There are ethical issues in using embryo stem cells for a human embryo, so that's a negative point. And adults give permission for their own bone marrow to be collected, so that's a positive point for the adult bone marrow. The stem cells can develop into most other types of cells, so this means it's a positive point because it can differentiate, and the stem cells can develop into only a few types of cells for the adult bone marrow. That makes it a negative point. Each stem cell divides every 30 minutes for a human embryo, but divides every 4 hours for an adult born embryo. This means this is a positive point for the human embryo and a negative point for the adult bone marrow. There is a low chance of patient's immune system rejecting the cells, and for the adult bone marrow, there is a high chance of a patient's immune system rejecting the cells. So this makes a positive point for the human embryo and a negative point for the adult bone marrow. More research is needed into the use of these stem cells for a human embryo, but for an adult bone marrow, we know it's a safe procedure again. That makes it a positive point for the bone marrow, and because more research is needed, a negative point for the human embryo. So for the 3 advantages of using stem cells from embryos instead of from adult bone marrow, we're going to look at the positives on the side of the human embryo. And we can see we have 3 positives here. So we can write can develop into most of the cells. Second point, we can write each cell divides every 30 minutes. And the last point, we can write it has a low chance of rejection by the patient's immune system. And that gives us our 3 marks. For part B, give 3 advantages of using stem cells from adult bone marrow instead of from the embryos. This time, so we can see that it is cheaper and we can collect many cells. Adults give permission for their own bone marrow to be collected, and it is a safe procedure. This question is also worth 3 marks, and as a response, the first point we can write down is that the adult bone marrow is cheaper, and we write down the figure given in the table. So we write down £1,000 for many cells. Another positive was that the adults give permission for their own bone marrow to be collected. And lastly, the adult bone marrow is a safer procedure. This gives us our 3 points. The linking word for today is stem cells. When you think of stem cell, you should think of the word undifferentiated. When you think of undifferentiated, you should think of not specialised. And when you think of not specialised, you should think of no function. Also, when you think of stem cell, you should think of any type of cell. You should also think of certain type of cells and stem cells in plants. Any type of cell should link it to the embryo. Certain type of cell should link it to the adult stem cell, and the plant should link it to the meristem. Think of all of these three. You should think of clones. When you think of clones, you should think of same genes. Thank you for watching. Join me for the next topic. Remember to like, share and subscribe to my channel.